Okay, yes, we are here. Yeah, we're here again.
Yeah,
Uh,
we have.
yeah, good. I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on where you're joining us from and when you're listening to this recording.
Good
Yeah,
night. Okay. For
yeah, but
future. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. But we're here again. Another series of Let's Talk scholarships.
Talk, talk, talk.
Yeah. The audience, you're all welcome. As usual, you can just indicate with your name and where you are joining us from in the chat, just so we know who we are speaking with and who's on the line. While we go again today with another episode of Let's Talk Scholarship. So basically, we're going to today's session is more informal than formal. No major topic for discussion. We're just going to go with the flow in quotes and answer as many questions as come up from the audience as possible. And at the same time, we're going to try to share some real world experiences of how the scholarship journey goes. Because I think a lot of us have what we call misconceptions or uh, different ways of thinking about it. And there's no real right or wrong answers most of the time. But there are basic principles that I think people need to understand that these are the factors that you need to consider when you're doing stuff. Yeah. So as usual, Buchi, I'll be our host this evening, and with me is Ejiro. Ejiro, do you want to say hi to the audience?
Hi everyone. It's just for our new audience. My name is Ejiro Machule Koko, and I'm a Commonwealth scholar doing a master's in women and transport at the University of Leeds. Okay.
Yes, yes. And I was a MSc scholar at the University of Leeds as well, studying transport planning and engineering. Yeah. So University of Leeds, nice place to study, in case you're thinking.
Yeah, I can see people on LinkedIn. I'm hoping that if you drop in your chat to tell us where you're joining in from, we can reflect here. So feel free to drop your chat. And I want to say hi to Gloria because Gloria was with us yesterday. Hi, Gloria. Good to see you again.
Gloria, yeah, I think Gloria was with us last week as well. I remember
Oh
Gloria.
my God. Okay, Gloria, you win an award. Yay. I hope this is very useful for you. That's why you keep joining. So thank you so much. Yes. Okay. No, Gloria, you have to balance it. You have to say hi to Buchi too. Buchi's an amazing host. So please, he's a people's mentor. All right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's nice to have people come, you know. Yeah, people in the I think people are popping up in the audience. It's good to know that we have people on the line that we are talking to. People that are benefit. I think we've gotten a few stories of people that have found the sessions interesting, which is good
Yeah.
because we only
Okay. Our people's mentor. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
yeah, because we're only doing this if it's beneficial to people. So it's good to hear from people that they say that it's actually beneficial. And I think it's a really good thing to have sessions like this, have this kind of information out there. I mean, it's the power of the internet. Days past, people didn't really have the internet to help them to congregate all this kind of knowledge together. And so with the internet comes more opportunities. With more opportunities means you need more information. And the information overload is a real thing. And so it's good when you can put all the information in a concise way in a place where people can access it, which is why platforms like this exist. So
Mhm.
that's basically why we are here, and it's always good to have you in the audience. So for today's session, like I said before, if you have any questions, you can always pop them in the chat. This is a kind of learning journey. So we want the discussion to be led by the audience so that we know exactly what people want to hear about, what exactly you want us to talk about, what exactly are the issues you're facing. Because obviously the issues I'm facing or the issues I faced may not be the same issues that you faced, especially because times are changing, things are changing, you know, new generation is cropping up, old generation is passing away, and stuff like that. So the way things go or the way things are happening might change. And so we cannot always rely on our own personal past experience to always answer your questions or to push out this information. So it's always good to hear exactly what the new issues are, what exactly in research you need to actually do the collection of data. You have to go in the field and actually find out what the problems are, because you can make an assumption of what you think the problem is, but that's not exactly what the problem is when you go into the fields to check. And so it's the same thing that we are doing here, at least as people that have postgraduate degrees. We've learned some of these skills. So we want to apply them in what we are doing. That's why we always encourage the audience to always put their questions in the chat. And then we take the questions away. And the ones we can answer on the spot, we try to answer on the spot. The ones we cannot answer on the spot, we take them away. We can come back with a fresh session for it, or we could bring them back some other time, or we could find experts that understand those questions better and bring them on to have a discussion about it. So I think that's the important thing. I think it was last week we had Dr. Iman with us to
Yeah,
talk.
yeah, we had the tema last week here.
Yeah, to talk about PhDs, supervision, and the rest. Because obviously, I'm not a supervisor. I've never been a supervisor before, and Ejiro has not been a supervisor. So it was always good to have the supervisor's perspective, because a lot of people
Yeah,
asked us about, ask things that are peculiar to supervisors, which we may not be able to answer ourselves as students. So it's always good to have someone from that side to also come up. And it wouldn't have come up if people didn't ask those kind of questions. So always feel free to put your questions in the chat. No question is too big or too small. And don't be shy to put your question. I know some people are shy to put their questions because it's a public platform. But if in any case you want to send your question privately, it's also not bad. You can just look for us on LinkedIn, send us a direct message, and then put your question there, and then we can try to address it here as well, if that is a barrier. But it shouldn't be a barrier. It's a public platform. We're all the same here. We're all learning together. So yeah. So Adrian, I don't know. Do you want to say anything else before
yeah.
Sid?
Yeah, I want to say thank you, Vicky, for that. This is a safe space, okay? So you don't need to feel it's not a question, but let me just continue. This is a safe space, so please feel free to ask a question. It's better you learn here, and when you apply, you get it, or you make success, or you are successful than you going there to put in your effort and at the end you didn't get it if only you knew some certain things. So please use this platform to learn. I also want to say this, those of us that have like benefited from mentorship or from this webinars, feel free to let us know so you can come to the back end with us here and share your story. Or if you have questions and you don't want to type it, maybe your question is so long that you don't know how to type it, but you want to come and share it here on the screen with us, just send us a DM either here or on LinkedIn, or just look for us and send a DM and you can add you backstage and you can come and share your story live, either your questions or how mentorship or webinars have benefited you. So just send a message and we can add you to the live stream. So yeah, I think that's all I need to say. So possibly we have a question on the chat, but which do you think we should go on, or should we discuss about the issue I mentioned earlier?
Uh, let's see. Maybe we can start with the question on the chat.
Okay then.
Yeah, maybe we can start with that one, and then we can swing back to that issue if there are no other questions, and I'll come back for more questions later.
Okay, just to add, sorry, there are really people on LinkedIn. It'd be nice for us to know where you're joining in from. Can you say hi and your name? That'd be so nice. Okay, you go on.
Yeah, okay, okay. So let's take the question in the chat. I think it's from Gloria. Oh, it's a long question. I see part one and part two.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first part of the question says, "Thank you all so much for platform. My first question is about, first question. That means there's a second one. Okay. My first question is about application fees. So I was looking for waivers and met a mentor who said if you're not able to pay for application fee for a PhD, then one is not ready for PhD journey. I kind of felt bad because I'm not able to afford application fees. Is it true? Does one need to save up first before starting the journey? Hmm, very interesting question. Very interesting question. Do you want to start?
Yeah, yeah. This is thank you so much, Gloria, for your question, and believe other people will have similar questions, or have this question born in their heart. Now, one thing I do like in anything I do, I like a balanced panel, or I like a balanced perspective. Okay, because now you need to be careful what we say. If you say something, it might just stop someone from going forward. So what I can say to you, Gloria, is first of all, there are schools. Okay, now it's good to this is my own thinking. It's good to invest in what you want to do, no doubt about it. But at the same time, when I mean invest, it can be finances, it can be time, it can be resources. Anything you want to do is what doing well. But at the same time, if you don't have the resources. So for example, you don't have the money to pay application fee, or possibly you don't have someone you can borrow it from, because everybody are not the same. Let's be honest. If you don't have it but you really want it, I think you can either expand your option and look for schools that doesn't require application fee. There are a lot of schools that don't. Like I didn't pay an application fee for my school. Leeds, did you pay? Bucci?
Yeah, yeah,
Go.
yeah.
So there are schools that don't pay application fee. So you need to possibly, if you want a particular school so badly, then you can email them and tell them that you do not have an application fee, that they should waive it for you. Then you can tell them why you want them to waive it for you. Okay, some school give the opportunity, or they will have scholarships for people to help them waive that waives application fee. But if all this thing doesn't work, then go to schools that don't have application fee, and explore. Do not let one thing hold you back. There are many ways to get something. You get at the end, yes, it's good to go to great schools or the school you want to go to, but also you can get that degree you want to get. So I think I'll stop here. Let Bichi add to it, then we can keep discussing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said it at the start. Everything requires a balanced perspective. I would say it's a little bit harsh to say that if you cannot pay application fee, then you're not ready for the journey. That's a little bit harsh in my own perspective because education is something that I believe should be accessible to everyone, despite your background or circumstances. And truly, some people can pay, some people cannot pay. We cannot discount the fact that there are people that can pay and there are people that cannot pay. And I also think that is where the role of funding comes in, because sometimes funding is presented as an option to take away the financial barrier for
Yeah.
people to participate in education. And so while you might have the money to pay and you can choose to pay and you can get it, but if you are sure that you do not have the money to pay for an application fee or for any kind of expense that is going to come out of your education, the next best thing is to seek options of how that can be covered. One of these options is usually scholarships, but in terms of application fees, waivers, like you said. And I don't think there's anything wrong in looking for waivers. I mean, I also looked for waivers. I looked for a lot
I
of
look for a
waivers.
lot.
Yeah, waivers. So there's nothing wrong in looking for waivers. I mean, that's why waivers are there. And the truth is, some waivers exist, but they are not publicized because it's on a needed basis, or is at the discretion of the team that is giving the handling the application. So they won't tell you we have waivers. There's a special waiver code here for everybody. Some schools have things like waivers for certain countries, or waivers for certain groups of people, or waivers, different types of waivers. But there are some waivers that are discretionary. So you need to ask them and explain your situation, and then they have to go back and discuss and decide whether or not to give you a waiver. So that is important. So asking for a waiver does not mean you're not ready for the journey. I mean, that's not a major it's not a major consideration in my book. I mean, if you get a waiver, the most important thing in this journey is, first of all, you are sure that you want to do the PhD. I think the supervisor and Is the supervisor is one of the key things. These are the key things you consider when you're talking about a PhD. Application fee waiver or no application fee waiver, or application fee or no application fee, is not really a deciding factor. You can get some grants that will even cover the application fee. Or like Adrian have said, if you have some people borrow, borrow or get a loan or something, get a loan facility. We've most of us might have heard of things like student loans. So people do that. You get a loan facility, you achieve what you want to achieve, you pay the application fee. Probably you need that admission to get a grant, and then you get the grant, and then the grant can cover back you paying back the loan you've already taken plus a lot more other things. So there's no one way of getting it right. The important thing is that you actually get to the destination you want to get to. And it shouldn't be a discouraging factor in my book. I know you said in your question that you felt bad, and that kind of statement might make you feel discouraged. But the truth is, I know a lot of people that have done their studies on waivers. They started with a waiver. I mean, and first of all, the first thing you need to know is that getting a waiver does not essentially mean you're going to get to do the PhD in the school. That's the first thing. Getting the waiver,
Yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
You need to know it's not a sure bet. So that's why I said it's not really a major factor. They can give you a waiver, and then you may not even get the admission. Number one, or they can give you a waiver and then you get admission, but maybe you don't even get a supervisor, because there are some schools that give you admission and then you find a supervisor. Why there are some that you need a supervisor before you get admission? Different ways, yeah. So getting the waiver and getting the admission is just one single step in the journey. But if application fees are a stumbling block, then you can also find other options where application fees don't apply. Like Ejiro said, the University of Leeds, I know I didn't pay any application fee. She didn't pay any application fee. And I'm sure there are a lot of universities like that. But if it may be the situation that you already have a supervisor that you want to work with at a particular institution, and then that institution requires application fees that you cannot afford. That kind of situation also happens. Now, your judgment, everything is always a personal decision. Should you pay the fee? Should you not pay the fee? Always ask for a waiver. That's my own personal opinion. Always ask for a waiver. Always ask for a waiver. Even if, to be sincere, even if you can afford the application fee, ask for a waiver. I don't see why not. I really don't see why not, why you shouldn't. If they say
Hmm. I
they,
I have a different perspective to that because
yeah,
if you ask for a waiver and you get it, but you can afford it, you deprive others that cannot afford it. Yeah, you see. So that's my
well,
own thing. Let's not
it
deprive others.
depends.
No, no, you can. You should pay if you can pay. Let others
Yeah,
that don't.
it really depends. Personally, for me, I think it depends on why the waivers exist. Because, like, if you ask and the waiver exists for a particular group of people and you qualify within that group of people, I mean, unless it's limited, but if you can actually afford it comfortably, you can pay. It means it's nothing off the back of your head. If it's part of investing in what you want to get anyway, it's part of investing in what you want. If you can comfortably afford fees, these type of fees, you shouldn't even. It might be less stressful for you than even seeking a waiver to pay, if you think about it. But always ask. I think that's my own point. Always ask questions. Always ask for opportunities. I mean, it may not necessarily be a financial waiver, but there may be other things involved. Don't be afraid of asking. I think that was my initial point. Don't be afraid of asking. Always ask.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
good, good, good. So
always
I
ask.
think Lara be able to really exhaust and address your question and to others that have similar questions in mind. I hope that was helpful. So we're still waiting for your question in the chat. So I think while we wait, should we discuss about the issue? Is that good? Should we
Yeah,
discuss about?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think
So
so.
earlier today, someone asked me and said, "Do you think I should do a PhD?" So we're going to try to address it here in our own way. Now, good thing is that I'm doing a PhD. I'm with you is not. So we are going to give you a balanced perspective of why I'm doing, and I simply addressing her question, and which will tell his own thinking. So the question was, should I do a PhD? I'm scared, or can I do a PhD? The person did not
This
understand.
is someone that just finished a master's, yeah.
Yeah. Can I do a PhD? And now I couldn't just say, oh yes, do a PhD, or oh no, don't. So what I did was that I just told a bit of what I think you need to consider, then ask yourself, do you want to do a PhD? So first of all, let me answer this. I think you need to first of all ask yourself, what is the plan? Where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10, 20 years? What's the plan? Now, there's some career path that you must have a PhD to grow. Now, for example, if you're lecturing, you need a PhD to grow into certain stage. So that one is part of it. That was already like structured in part of the career plan. But some people that are working in some jobs, having a PhD or no doesn't really define your growth. You get, so I think you need to ask your plan, what yourself, what do you want to do? What's the vision? So like for me, I was like I'm in working in the university or like a graduate assistant. So lecturing, PhD, to be a lecturer, to be a doctor and go like that. PhD is part of the plan. But and just to say that, but to answer her question is, can she do it? She's scared, a lot of things. And I mentioned, I said, first of all, it's very important to pick no, so there are opportunities whereby you get to pick your topic, or you have to pick a topic that's existing or a project that's existing. But whatever be the case, you need to pick something that you're interested in, because 2, 3, 4, 5 years is a long time. So that's what I mentioned. So first of all, you need to pick a topic that you're interested in, that you're passionate about. You need to think about the supervisors who you want to work with. Think about the university. Think about what country don't do the PhD. Think about a lot of factors you need to consider. So I couldn't just tell her yes or no. These are just things I have to just tell her to have to go and have a think. Okay, this is this important to me? Because everybody's story is different doing a PhD. What are important to me might not be important to you. So I can just tell you that this is what you should do. No. I can share my story, give tips, then it's up to you to go and find your path. So I think I will stop here. Let me allow Bichi, who is not doing a PhD, to speak. Okay. We have
Yeah,
more people on LinkedIn than YouTube here, and nobody's saying hi to us on LinkedIn. I don't understand, but it's fine. LinkedIn, please say hi to us. We want to know your name and where you're joining in from. Say hi to us, please. Okay.
yeah. So, what will I say now? I don't want to sound off. No, the topic is, our question is, should she do a PhD?
Yeah, but
And
you're not in the position, so you can just give your perspective. This
yeah,
this is your thought anyway. So
yeah. So, I finished my master's last September. And during the masters, the question of whether to do a PhD or not do a PhD was always, it was always going on in my head. Should I? Should I not? Should I? Should I not? You know. And ultimately, I decided to shelf it for now, which is it was very well. I can reasonably understand what's going on in her mind, because there's a lot of things to consider. When some people, you have the fear of, when you leave the school system, will you be able to come back again? Are you sure you still be able to read papers? Are you sure you still be able to go research? Are you sure you still fit student lifestyle? You know, those are some of the things that people are afraid of. If I stay away from school too long, maybe I'll lose my research ability or my research skills, and then I'll start from square one, and then the PhD will be difficult. Some other people also think about things like age. Some people think about things like their career. Some people even consider family as well, depending on your gender also comes into play sometimes. These are a lot of things. 'Cause I discussed this with a few people, and some of these questions came up. And then you find out that there's no real right answer to the question of whether you should or should not do a PhD. I think the real thing is to understand what exactly is a PhD, and like you said, how does it fit in to the big picture that you see for yourself? Because you have to have a kind of big picture of what you want to achieve. And then you have to understand what exactly is a PhD. Because I think people have different ideas of what a PhD is. And I'm not a PhD student, So I'm not exactly sure what a PhD is. There are some things you can only know by experiencing it. But
Yeah.
you should, at least from doing a master's, we did our small dissertation, which was for a short while. So
Yeah.
you you can so while doing that, you could see the clear difference between classes, coursework, assessments, and actual research. And there's also the difference between the undergraduate and the master's research, because the undergraduate, your supervisor might be taking the lead in the way the research is being formed. But when I did my master's, my supervisor was taking the back seat. When we have our meetings like this, I would tell him I did this, I thought of this, I thought of that, and you just see him nodding, saying, "Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, try it out and tell me what happens." He's not going to tell you do it or don't do it. He's not going to tell you, "Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do," or "This is what you're supposed to do," or "Use this method," or "Use that," or "Check this data." No, he can just tell you, "Okay, look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. What you've said is also good. Try it." And sometimes I try out what I was thinking, and then I come back and I tell him it's not working.
No.
And he's like, "Okay, okay. So why is it not working?" And then I tell him, and after we have, after the first part of the discussion, towards the end, he now says, "I've had a student before and he tried something like that and it also didn't work." And then in my mind, I'm like, if it didn't work for him, and he's like, but that it didn't, he will not explain that it didn't work for this person does not mean it will not work for you. And the kind
True.
of results that you bring out is not going to be the same results that he brought out. And the more it doesn't work for people for different reasons, the more you can build a case that this thing does not actually work because of this reason, that reason, this reason, that reason. That is why it's part of independent research, as he said. That was an interesting journey, and then, dissertation masters, few months, it all ended. Have to write up the big report, submit and stuff. It was challenging, I would not lie. It was very challenging. But I think it was a good experience, to have a taste and feel of the research. So personally for me, why I didn't eventually venture into the PhD straight away was because I realized that if you are going to do this thing that I just talked about for a very long time, you need to have a topic that you are actually interested in or passionate about. Or you need to have like a field that you understand very well and you're interested about. And before I did my master's, I hadn't done much work in transport. I just did like, I think I did like 6 months during my undergraduate industrial training in transport. And when I was an undergrad, the transport courses or the transport elective we had was not available when I was in my finals, so I didn't learn much on that. So coming into the world of transport for my master's was a very big, it was a very big area, and transport is very wide. There are a lot of things that are happening in transport that you didn't even know existed. And so I decided personally that I wanted to get more experience working in transport before I decided whether or not I would do a PhD and what exactly I would want to research on in the transport field. Because a lot of things were looking so interesting when I did my master's. This looks nice. I would like to work here. I like to do some of this. I like to do some of that. But I couldn't. Israel, you're a researcher. I couldn't define my scope. You understand that language?
Yeah.
Scoping. I
We are
couldn't.
still defining our scope.
Yeah, I couldn't define a proper scope for what exactly, because when you don't have an idea of what you want, you start pursuing every opportunity that comes, and that is
Yeah.
very difficult because you may not even know whether you're not getting it because you're not a good fit, or whether because it's not what you wanted, or because you can't just be chasing everything, which is the same thing even when you want to do a master's. You can't want to do a master's here and do a master's somewhere that's totally different, do a master's somewhere totally different. It's when the less focus you have, I think the less efficient the use of your time and energy will be. So it's always good to try to tell yourself, you might not limit yourself to just one single option, but you have a bracket where you're working inside. This is the scope of what I want to do. And then, have a like a central point, the why we always talk about. Why are you doing this? You have that central point. And then whenever any opportunity comes, you can try to see how it relates to what you want to achieve for yourself as a person. Because the PhD is more or less like it's a journey of self discovery as well as whatever you're researching. You're going to discover a lot of things. I mean, I've talked to people that did PhD, they always talk about it like the journey themselves, that probably they learned more about themselves than they learned about the topic they were researching, because you do a whole lot of things, you go through a whole lot of exercises, you do a lot of stuff that you thought you couldn't do, and you realize that you have skills that you never knew you had, and a lot of things. So it's really a very broad picture, but you have to, for yourself, choose whether this is what you want to do. And I think the first step is understanding what a PhD is, how it works, how it fits into your plans. If it does not fit into your plans, how you can make it fit into your plans, or maybe how you can change your plans to make it fit, or understand. Like Edro said, in some careers you need a PhD to grow, in some careers you don't. But does not mean that if you don't require a PhD to grow your career, a PhD will not contribute to your growth. It can contribute to your
Yeah, it
growth.
will. It will.
Yeah. So, and I know someone that works in our office that did some work, went back to do a PhD, came back, and is now a specialist in a particular area because that's what the PhD covered. And then is leading, now building a team for that from the company perspective. So there are stuff like that. So PhD can be a lot of things to different people, but I think you have to decide what you want to get out of it. And then from there, you can be able to kind of forge a path and understand the kind of opportunities you want to seek. And, from there, continue on the journey. It's not, as someone that's not done a PhD, I can't say for sure, but a PhD is going to be challenging, very challenging. And you need to at least, every day when you sit down and you're going through the challenges, you need to understand, okay, this is what I'm pursuing and this is why I'm doing this, so that you can always pick yourself up once in a while and enjoy the journey and the frustrations that are going to come with it, etc.
Okay, so just to balance it, and also the joy that comes with it. It's not just not just frustration, because let's make it balance. There are also opportunities that come within a page. There are also joy that comes within a page. So in short, it's just like life. There are ups and downs, but it's up to you. Do I want to move on? Do I have the resources to help me move on? Do I need to create a community to help me move on? So just to say that, thank you, Bichi. Bichi, you haven't done a big page, but you had a lot to say. So that's that's great. That's great. Thank you so much. I keep saying we have a lot of people on the chat, but nobody is dropping their name. So, well, Gloria, thank you for dropping yours. Joseph, thank you for dropping yours. And to other people that are not dropping their name, it's been nice to know where you are joining in from. Yesterday, we had people from Tanzania, from Oklahoma, from Zambia, from Cameroon. It was a very vast audience yesterday. I want to believe we have the same here today. So please feel free to let us know your name and where you're joining in from. So back to then they have another question still from Gloria. So thank you for maximizing this opportunity, Gloria. And this is her question, Bichi. So you can go on.
Yeah. Okay. Second question. Okay. That means I think we're still expecting more questions from Gloria. She came prepared
Yeah,
today.
she can prepare. She's maximizing opportunities. Just to add this, we talked about resources. Now, the truth is this: this thing we are doing, we are volunteering. We're giving it to you for free, so you can have access to opportunity. You can help people help you answer your questions. Because like we said earlier, not everybody have the privilege to pay the application fees. So that's why there are like funding opportunities to help you waivers. Same thing, not everybody have access to resources on how to apply or what scholarships are out there. So part of this platform is to bring you that information and help you, guide you, give you answers to or try to attempt your questions so you can prepare a better and a stronger and more competitive application. So just I needed to state that out there. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So, Gloria's second question. Thank you so much. Second question. My volunteer experience is my major experience in terms of research skills. Is it not good enough experience? I've gotten many rejections without feedback. The SOP, okay, part two.
Okay, let me you can continue.
Yeah, the SOP discussion helped a lot. Can we please, okay, can you please explain how to express volunteer roles in a CV to portray skills? Is there a standard CV format? Okay, there's a lot of questions here. Uh, let's go
We
back
should
to
go
the
back to the
beginning.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah, let's pick it in pieces. So the first question, your volunteer experience is your major research or the major experience that has your research skills in it. So that would mean that you have more research skills from volunteering than from your main uh, income generating job. And you're asking whether it's good enough. I think in simple answer would be should be yes. I mean, uh, I would say that if you are volunteering and you're
Oh, we
doing
have to be from LinkedIn. Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Our first LinkedIn person. Hi, Oluwatobi. Thank you for saying hi from LinkedIn. We have more people on LinkedIn. Please say hi to us on us on Twitter. We didn't host on
yeah,
Facebook today, so hopefully Twitter can say hi to us. Thank you. Okay, please go on.
yeah, hi Oluwatobi. That's what like I was saying. So if you've volunteered in a role and that role is where you've gotten your research skills from. Um, in the grand scheme of things, a volunteer role and paid employment are not very different. The only real difference between the two is that you get paid for one and you don't get paid for the other one. But in terms of your capacity in what you're doing, it's exactly the same capacity that you bring to a volunteer role that you also bring to a paid job. Some people might even argue that you bring more capacity to volunteering roles than you do to the job you're paid to do. There's that argument, but that's left to be decided. But my point is, it's still you that did those things. And so if you did those things and you have that experience, whether it was paid or unpaid, it is still your skills and it is good enough if that is the way it is. It should be considered on the same scale as paid employment. Now it's it now comes to how it is presented, how you've presented it. Because I think I've seen a few CVs where some people have paragraphs of their work role, you know, customer service rep, so place, September, blah 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 till November, blah blah blah. In this role, I did this, blah, that. You see a very well thought out paragraph. And then you see others, you see a subheading where someone writes volunteer experience, uh, site nurse of blah, 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 full stop. This and it's just, just they just state one small sentence. Maybe they put 2021 to 2022 at the back, and that's the end of it. And then you look at it. So in my own view, when you have that kind of thing, if I'm the one looking at your CV, for example, what that CV is going to tell me that's reading it is in the work experience you've done a whole lot. In this volunteer role, you didn't do much. So this volunteer role is not as important because you've only dropped one sentence about it. While for this other one, you've dropped a whole paragraph stating exactly what's going on. And so you are the one that has presented it as less important in that way. So I always tell people if you're going to write about your work experience like this, personally, if there's no standard CV format for what you're submitting, or they didn't give you any tips, you can have the same structure that you have for paid experience, for volunteer experience as well, especially if there's an experience you want to highlight in the volunteer section. Now that you've gotten many rejections without feedback, I would say that that is a normal part of the process, and it does not invalidate your person, and it does not invalidate your skills, and it does not invalidate the quality of your application. But depending on what you're applying for, in this very competitive space, you need to understand that people do filtering. They filter through applications and try to shortlist the ones they feel match whatever they are looking for. So it may not be that what you have is not sufficient or is not good enough. It might just be that it does not match with the criteria on the other side that they are looking for. And uh, there's no standard way of knowing what the criteria is. It really depends on the amount of research you've done based on what you're applying for. So you need to, you know, research on what is this person looking for. And you also need to be honest with yourself whether you match the criteria you're applying for, because some people see an opportunity, see criteria, they don't fall within the criteria, and they say they want to apply, and when they get a rejection, they begin to complain. So I'm not saying don't take chances, but when you see criteria and you know that you don't match the criteria as written, if you still decide to apply for that role, just know that there's a 50-50 chance you will get rejected because of that criteria. Because the person filtering through the criteria might not be the actual, if it's like you're applying to a research role or something, the person filtering through the criteria might not be the researcher himself. It might be someone who is paid to do that filtering. If you've ever done data sorting or stuff like that, it might be someone else that is paid to, filter through this thing, bring out this set, and then the main researcher goes to the other filtered set and then starts to pick down. So if the first person has been told, check for this, check for this, check for this, check for that, and it's not showing in your application, you might just get screened out. Or if they're even using artificial intelligence or a bot or a software to do the initial screening, that can also screen you out. So if you are applying for anything, even if it's a job or a scholarship or a grant, and there's an application detail that lists qualities we are looking for in an applicant, make sure that when you're drafting whatever you're drafting, those qualities that are listed there, you are also transferring them into whatever you are presenting. So far, you are sure that you qualify on each point. Make sure that there is something on each point in whatever document you're submitting. If it's an essay, if it's a draft letter, if it's a CV, and they say we want experience of someone that has used this, and that, and you have experience in 1, 2, 3, 4, they've listed. Make sure that on your CV document, the experience for those things they've pointed out is well detailed, so that someone that is doing that's matching your CV against that criteria can see that this criteria that was listed is matching exactly what this person has submitted, and then they push your application forward. So I think there's no standard CV format, I think, but I know that there might be some acceptable ones in some different places. I know some people I've seen some places where they say CV should have your picture. I've seen in some places where they say CV should not have your picture. So I don't know, Adrian, do you know anything about that, or do you want to say anything
Yeah,
on that?
so I just want to, because we have, thank you, Buchi. That's really explanation. Thank you. Because I'm looking at, we have some question on the chat and full of time. I just want to just add quickly to what you've said. So I'm going to just answer the question in no particular order. That is for Gloria. And first of all, if you don't get feedback and you have rejections, what advice people is go and send an email asking for a feedback. Why was I rejected? Now, some people might be so nice to give you a feedback. Why some will say we cannot. That's fine, but there's nothing wrong in asking why you were rejected. Okay, you should do that. My the next question is in terms of volunteering experience. I don't think you asked your question clearly, but I'll just answer from where I can answer. So one thing I would like to say is, as much as it's an informal section, try to be clear as possible, because also when you write your applications, at times you're not clear enough, and these people will not have the time to start asking what does she mean, what does she not mean. You just decide any meaning and move on, and it will be so sad that if they decide on a meaning which you don't mean. So please try to be as clear as possible. So what I just to answer your question in the way I understand it is no matter what experience you have get and is volunteering is good enough, like what you said. And how can you put these things in your CV? So, for example, you can when you put, for example, I what's it called? I was a teacher in so place. Then you can list what you did. Okay, first one I did this and it you did this. Second one I did this and you did this. So list what you did. I taught 50 classes and 40% passed. I helped them reduce cost by 20% in so issue or project. So list what you did. Now the next part of your questions was with respect to okay, what did she ask? Respect to, can you explain how to express? Yeah, I just mentioned that. And in addition, please, apart from CVs, some application want to see your volunteering evidence or something. So please, you can put, if the application permits it, you can put links to pictures online or links to posts online that shows what you have done. If you have pictures, you can also add them as evidence or something. So there are many ways to have evidence. Your CV is one way, but there are other ways that are not in the CV, like I said, online posts, pictures, certificates, reference letter, a lot of ways to show that you have volunteered. And in terms of format, like what you said, it depends. Some application will tell you this is what we expect. You have to follow them, but notwithstanding, I think there is, I don't know how to put it, but I think there are some civil they are called, is it European, it's US. So I'll do a quick search online just to be sure. I don't want to give the wrong information, but I've seen some application that tell you use American or US format for your CV. They have different formats. So I'll do a quick search. So I think while I do that search online, which maybe you can proceed to the next question.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I think I've seen something like that you mentioned about the CV online, but I'm not
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So let's go to the next question from Oluwatobi. Oluwatobi is asking, what are the chances of getting a scholarship with a 3.5 over 5.0 GP without GRE for masters for science-related courses? Okay, so I'm going to say, without trying to sound prejudiced in any way, I can't calculate the chances, but I would say you have a chance if that's what you want, if that's what you're asking, whether there's a chance. The answer is there is a chance. There is always a chance. You know, the it still hinges on it still hinges on what opportunities are you pursuing. You know, what opportunities are you pursuing? 3.5 over 5.0 GPA, when you convert that to WES, you get a different value. There are some degrees that require you to convert your GP to a particular level, and then they evaluate whether you cross a particular point. There are some opportunities that simply state that you have to have this benchmark of GPA to pursue this opportunity. Like I said, they have stated the eligibility criteria. If you don't reach that criteria, you've not reached that criteria, because every opportunity is usually tailored to a specific group of people. Because every people don't just give out scholarships or even admissions because they want to give it out. There's always a target market. If you want to use a commercial term, there's always a target market that they are targeting to receive those things. And so sometimes they state clearly what the eligibility is. So some places will say you must have a GRE. Some places will ask you for GRE result and give you a minimum benchmark of what the GRE is. Some people don't ask for GRE. So like I said, if you're asking whether there are places that you don't need a GRE, the answer is yes. There are places where you don't need a GRE. If they're asking whether there are places that will take 3.5 or 5.0, yes, there are places that take that. Science related courses and non-science related courses, they also exist. These opportunities are there. You just need to make your research, find them. There are a lot of opportunities uh, for people from developing countries. There are a lot of opportunities for people from different backgrounds. There's funding for people with learning disorders. There's funding for people with uh, uh, say financial issues. There are opportunities for people from different. There are even opportunities for people specifically for women, just to empower women. There are opportunities for people with some particular disabilities or learning disorders. Different kinds of opportunities exist. I always tell people that ask these kind of questions. Uh, you need to know yourself, know what you have, know what your strengths are. You have a you have this GPA, you don't have a GRE, you want to study in this field. So you've listed out what you have or what you think you don't have that you can get. Because if you for example, you don't have volunteering experience, but you know you can volunteer and get some experience somewhere. You don't have a published paper, but you know you can write the paper and publish in a journal. So you can also have a list of what you have, what you don't have. Okay. For example, if you have a 3.5 GP, that's what you have. You can go into the what you don't have box. You don't have a first class. So you won't go and start pursuing opportunities that are restricted to only first class people. You understand? You might be wasting your time in that area. It's not an efficient use of your time. So what you have, what you don't have, under what you don't have, you have what you don't have and you can't get, and what you don't have and what you that you can still get. So you've already done your undergraduate course, you've already gotten your GP. So you can't change that GP. So that's what you have. You can't change it. You're stuck with that one. You hold that one. But there are some things that you may not have now that you can still get. For example, the GRE. That you don't have GRE now doesn't mean you cannot write it. You can have it in the box of something you don't have, but you can still get. And then explore what it would take to get a GRE. There are also people that fund GRE if you think it's the fees that are the problem. If you think you cannot pass, there are a lot of resources online to pass a GRE. So if you have an opportunity that requires you to use the GRE to get a leg up, don't discount getting the GRE. You can look at how feasible it is for you to get it and work on taking the test. There's a lot of resources. I know there are some bodies that fund people to take some of these exams as well. You also need to you set up a plan, try to see what you can get together, and then move from there. I think I've said a lot on this topic. So, Ejiro, I don't know if you want to also contribute.
Yeah, I just want to. Yeah, that's fine. Just want to quickly chip in this. Yeah, you can have like one thing that people is always read the eligibility criteria. It's important to read. Now, what I mean read is for the fact that they might tell that this. I've seen many opportunities that would say this opportunity is for first class, but we can also give exceptional students. Now, first class, yeah, someone asks, okay, if you're not first class, why what make it to be exceptional? You might have other experiences that makes you exceptional. You might have maybe work experience, you may have won one certain award. So always try to read eligibility criteria. There's always some must have a but or a clause or something that's so if you don't read this, you can't know this. But at the same time, we advise it's good to be very competitive. So if you have what can make you competitive, you have take the GRE, get the volunteering experience, have the paper, all these things give you a better chance. So try and go the extra mile if you can. This is all I can say. So yeah, I don't need to say much. But you touched that a lot, so I think that's fine here. We have other question. I think we have the same question from the same person on LinkedIn and YouTube. Did you see that?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
So, but thinking maybe the person's joining on both platforms,
yeah, but with different names. Okay.
or maybe
Anyways, I
someone
think
copied it and just put it. I don't know. Maybe.
possibly, yeah. But whichever we've attended to that. And Vicky mentioned West. So for those of us that don't know West, Vicky, you can quickly just because we have different audiences, so let's be very sure we are trying to explain things. So I'll put on the chat. You want to quickly just I know you mentioned it passing. I can just quickly just say what West
Okay,
is.
what West is okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think for I know we have a broad audience, so World Education Services West does what we call results. Is result evaluation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have your degree, because in different countries or in different universities, degrees come out in different scales. Even in Nigeria, some people have the 5.0 scale, some people are using 7.0 scale for their GP. And I think the US uses a standard 4.0 scale. So usually, sometimes when you have a degree, and the grading classification is also different. First class, two, one, two, two. Some people have the distinction, merit, pass. Some people have the sum laude, and there are different ratings for these things. What West does is West provides a standard conversion of what your result is from your own degree into what the standard is internationally. So if you want to get your equivalent of your result in the US 4.0 average GPA scale, you go to West, you fill in your transcript details. You won't just tell them your GP is this. Usually they ask for your transcript details, the course, the loading, the score, you fill all that. And then on the other end comes out what exactly your result looks like in this other format, if you calculate it in this format. And then sometimes you might have a 2-2 in Nigeria on the 5 scale average, the 2-2. And when you do the WS evaluation, you get something that is actually above 2-2 on the other scale. So sometimes they ask you to do that conversion to boost your GP results so that you can qualify for more opportunities. So that's basically one of the main things that they do. It's not the only thing that West does, but it's one of the basic things that people use West to do when they do the evaluation of results. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fine. You can move on.
Yeah, I think we have one more question from Gloria. I'm seeing that we're already approaching the hour mark, so maybe that will be the last question for today. Let's see. Gloria, is the faculty one gets a PhD as important as the research area? For example, I'm seeking for a PhD in management, but most schools have my research area in finance and marketing, a different faculty. Okay. Adrian, do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I do. I'm trying to look for something to address that, but it's fine. Let me just quickly say it. Then once I find it, I'll come back to it. So, well, I don't think it should be an issue because every school have where they decide to how they decide to group their courses. So, for example, in my school, Institute for Transport Studies leads. I think we're under business and yeah, economics. I think so. Transport and transport have sorry we're under environment, sorry, we're
Yeah, we
under
under the faculty of environment. Yes.
environment, yeah, faculty of environment, and we still have transport engineers in my department. We have transport economics, we have transport planners, we have sustainability, etc. So every school have how they want to group. So I think what is important mostly is, do they have the course you want to do, and does the course actually, is it what you want when you look at the whole dynamics of the course? I think so. I think that was important, but I don't think a school would go and group an engineer under an arts faculty. I don't know. I don't think so. If that's the fear she has, maybe she wants to come up with an maybe BNG or maybe she get my point, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think every school have how they classify, how they group their faculties together. So that is where I would say most because, like I said, we are in the faculty of environment, but we still have engineers in that faculty. We have planners, we have economics, etc. But you do want to add to that?
Yeah, as someone that got an engineering degree from
Yeah,
Leeds, not the
faculty
faculty
of
of,
environment.
yeah. I also want to say that the faculty is really not important. I mean, at the start of the program, we had this session where they explained to us that we will be graduating with the engineering qualification, even though we are situated under the faculty of environment, because of they now explained what is going to qualify us to get the engineering qualification and how that's going to affect us in the job market, future prospects, etc. The faculty does not necessarily matter. And because I think nowadays faculties are somewhat fluid in nature, you can, I think I've seen someone that's doing a research and he has the first supervisor in this faculty, the second supervisor is in a different faculty. But because the topic is working on crosses the two, bridges a kind of between the two fields. I also know that even some of my colleagues then, some of us had supervisors from ITS, some of us had supervisors from the School of Engineering when we were doing our dissertation. So it doesn't necessarily matter. I think the research area is will be the more important factor. You want to do a PhD in this, where are they offering what you're looking for? It doesn't matter the name of the faculty, because the name of the faculty is not necessarily going to even appear on the certificate you're going to get at the end of the day. Most of the time, it's just the name, is what you did and the name of the university that appears on the certificate. So it's not really a strong thing to, like, you shouldn't disqualify something because it's in the wrong faculty. Because a course that is under this faculty in this school might be under a different faculty in a different university, but it's actually the same name. So it's not a very important issue to look into. I know in Nigeria, faculties are kind of depending on the university you went to anyway. Some faculties are kind of individualistic. They don't do a lot of cross-sectional research in between, but some of them do. Because even when I was an undergrad, we took some courses from different faculties, and we had, lectures with their students and things like that. Doesn't change the fact that you are in your faculty or the degree you're graduating with is this. I think, but even at the PhD level, I think it's even less important because it's even good in a PhD. I think it's good in a PhD if you're researching in this area and you also have things from other places coming in. I think it makes your research output richer, from what I've heard anyway. From what people have said, it's kind of gives you a kind of broader perspective and stuff like that. So the name of the faculty is usually not, even the name of the course is not a very important thing most of the time. It's the course content. So even whether it's a master's or a PhD you want to do, if you see the name of the course, don't take the name of the course at face value. Always go and see what is the content of this course. What exactly are they teaching in this course? What are the modules they are doing? Because two courses can have the same name and be teaching very different things. It happens. It sounds very funny and it sounds like it's not supposed to be, but it happens that two courses will have the same name and they are teaching two separate things, two of them, because one is approaching it from the left angle and the other one is approaching it from the right angle. So those are some of the things you see in postgraduate studies. You know, it's not always the same. Yeah. So I think that's what I'll say on that.
Yeah, that's thank you. Just to add, Victor and I went to the same university for our masters, although at different times. But he came out with B massage. Okay, what did you come out with?
What's it? What MSc
MNG,
MSc
MS, MS.
MSc engineering. Yeah.
Okay, mine was MSc transport planning. So we both went to the same school, the same department, although different points in time. But we came up with different kind of degrees. So I think, like you said, just look at the school and look at what does it offer you, and possibly email them. Always ask questions. They are happy to respond to your questions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I can see that we have the next week's session on the banner, 24th of February. That's next Saturday.
Yeah.
Maria Curie Fellowship. So we're all invited to come and get all the information we have on that. It might be this information that is what you've been searching for a very long time. Come and listen so you can get the information. I think we have one question that popped up in the chat. Joe, do we have time to take that? Or
Yeah, I think we can just aim for 5 minutes while we leave here.
okay, so Justine is asking, please, I need clarification. How do you write a personal statement for MSc application? Should it include your relevant activities related to the area you are applying? plus help with tips for PS writing. Okay. Uh, I would refer you to the session we had on
Yeah,
SOP.
let me try to put that up. Why
Yeah,
you just respond, I'll put that up.
yeah. So I would just say something very brief, but the amount of detail of that you need to be in the session for the SOP. We had a session on statement of purpose and personal statement writing, and we talked about different techniques, how to go about it, what should be included, what should not be included. But a personal statement is basically, in summary, I'll call it as an introduction to you. It's you introducing yourself to the application team. So they need to know who you are, probably why you're interested in this field, what you've been doing or what you've done, your undergraduate degree, your work experience. Just a summary of it. You don't need to write everything in crude details. What you've been doing, what experience you have in the field, if any, what you aim to achieve on this course you're applying for, why you chose them. Why do you want to do their own course? Like I said, two different courses can have the same name in two different schools and be studying different things. So you need to tell them, why are you choosing our program? Why do you want to study with us? Why are you a good candidate for us? Those are just the kind of basic questions that they want to get out of the personal statement. Because they won't invite you for an interview. I swear tell people this is like a written interview. Because they won't invite you for an interview, because they can't interview everybody one on one. So you write the personal statement as a way of covering the basic questions they would have asked in an interview. Who are you? Why do you have interest in this field? Why do you want to study this course? What experience do you have in your background? What do you want to achieve out of this course? Why have you chosen our school and our institution? Or why have you chosen this particular course or this particular research? And then you close with what you close with why you is basically what is the best, why are you the best student for this opportunity. So we've done a session that detailed what I've said in summary now in details one after the other. So Adrian, I think you put the link on the screen. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I'm trying to. I'll put it on the screen. Also put it on the chat so they can actually click it from there. Also, I was the boots.
yeah, yeah, okay. So I think you put it in the chat, and then you can
That is
go.
on.
Yeah, it was a session like this on YouTube.
Yeah,
We
two
had
weeks ago.
a very lengthy discussion, which I think was very useful. So you can just look at that, watch through it, and then if you have more questions after that, you can now come back and in our next series of webinars and ask more specific questions, so that your questions are not general. So you don't have to do the whole general explanation. So if there's one particular aspect while watching that video that you did not understand properly, you can now come here and then we can try to break it down further, if that makes sense. I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's good. So just before you conclude, let me flag down the section of for next week. I know you mentioned it briefly, but I just want to talk about it. Okay, so next week we have section on Maraconi Fellowship. So for those who don't know about it, it's a very, very good fellowship. I think it's for postdoc and for PhD. I'm not sure if it's for MSc. I don't think so. I think it's for PhD and postdoc. So it'd be good to just do like a quick search to know about it. It's quite a good scholarship, very, very rewarding one. So we have our speaker who's coming to speak next week on it. So like I said, one of the essence of these sections is not just to answer your question, but it's also to expose you to opportunities. Again, because like you said, there are a lot of information out there and it's overwhelming. So we try to like bring them together. Like now, I know we talked about Slumberger scholarship some time ago. People are now aware of that. We talked about Ivy League schools, how you can fit in, how you can apply for it. Now, American Fellowship, SOP. So we give you information. We don't just give it to you. We try to break it down as much as possible and also respond to your questions. So please join us on Saturday, 6 p.m. GMT. Convert it to your time zone, and you can learn more about Marconi Fellowship. So back to Richie, please.
Yeah, thank you. So like you said, 6 p.m. GMT Saturday, we'll be here again to discuss about the fellowship. It's an opportunity, You might think that you may not be interested in this opportunity, but when you actually listen to what's being said, you might see how you fit in or how this opportunity fits into the plans you already have and things like that. So, the more information you have, the more opportunities you have to make a better choice of how to move forward with whatever ambitions you may have. So that's why we're trying to bring this information to you. Personally, I don't know much about the Maria Curie Fellowship. So
Well, I don't know too, so I'm happy to learn. I don't know. I'm looking
yeah,
forward to
so it's
learn
just
too.
yeah, so it's also a learning session for us. But that's the beauty of platforms like this. When you start to bring the information together, everything begins to, new opportunities begin to arise. And who knows, it might be something that you might want to pursue in future, but you never knew existed. Or it might be that thing that particular thing that has the eligibility that you've been looking for, but you've
Yeah,
not actually known about it. So come Saturday, come and listen, come and get the information. You might even listen and you might see that it's not an opportunity that fits you, but it might fit someone that you know. And then you will now
yeah,
be able to encourage someone to now apply and get through it and get through with it. Someone that may not even have access to this platform. So that's the beauty
yeah.
of things like this. So we'll like to see you again on Saturday. So I think we'll call it the end of the night
So
here.
if you permit me to just add, another way is a way to expand your network. Like some people actually had to send me DMs, or some people had to send the speakers that they met online a private message on LinkedIn, and from there they start expanding their network. So this platform presents many opportunities, like Vicky said, information source, answering questions, breaking down information, networking, meeting people. Honestly, it's try to maximize the opportunities that this platform provides. So I think that's why I'm going to end it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll take that as your goodbye notes. Or do you still want to say goodbye to the audience? I think Gloria has dropped. Yeah.
Gloria, I think the awards go to Gloria today. Gloria, she asked a lot of. Oh yeah, before I forget, please, no question is stupid. I think some people are shy, thinking that it's stupid. No, 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 no question is stupid. Like I said, it's better you ask it here and we help you attempt to answer it than you going to make mistakes that you apply and you waste your time and you feel bad. So no question is stupid. Please do not have that mindset. So thank you so much, Adrian Buchi, for those Q&A section. It's been giving me so much encouragement and clarity in my application journey. Thank you. These are stories we want to hear about how it's beneficial to you, how it's impactful. No benefit is too small. So please always share and want to learn and hear from you and also inspire others. So let me give it back to the host before I take over.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have this kind of feedback so that we know that we're actually doing what people
Yeah.
want. Yeah, I mean, if you've joined this platform and maybe you think there's a way it can be improved, there's a better way of doing things, or something that you think is missing, something that we should focus more on, you can also pop that in the chat. We're not we're not averse to criticism. We welcome those kind of comments because it helps us to shape the platform into what it's supposed to be. Like I said at the beginning, this is supposed to be user led. It's what you people need that we want to bring. We're not here to tell you what we want to tell you. We're here to give you the information that we think you need. And we can only know what you need from the comments that you make, the questions that you ask, and every other way that you can give us feedback. Even if you want to give a personalized feedback of what you think, how you think the session is going, if you want to write different paragraphs, there's no problem. There's no problem. Jo is a researcher. She's reading a lot of papers, so she can read a lot of paragraphs of feedback.
Thank you. Ambuchi also read it with me too. He's he's a good reader. He has patience.
Yeah. So yeah, but jokes apart, those are the kind of things that you want to hear about, because obviously we're not saying this platform is perfect. We know it's useful, but we're not saying it's perfect yet. We want it to be much better. So your contributions are also needed. So on that note, I would say it was a good evening with you all today. Lots of good questions, lots of good answers we gave, I hope. And as always, if you have any more questions, you can reach out to any of the speakers individually on LinkedIn. You
Oh
can
yeah.
ask your questions in our next sessions. You can connect with us on social media, and we would always try as much as possible to give you answers to your questions, help out where we can, signpost you in the right direction, demystify any things that seem to be ambiguous. Or if you're looking for, if you're just looking to have a chat about this particular problem that you think you're going through, we can also try to help you out with that, to the best of our ability anyway. So yeah, so that would be me saying good night to you all. Like I said at the beginning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where you're joining from and what time you're listening to this video. But yeah, do have a wonderful day ahead, and we hope to see you in our next sessions. So bye everyone.
Bye.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Same time next time.
Yeah.